self, right? Of giving hope to the fact that even though we didn't do things the right way, on the contrary, out of that can come something much greater. And that's the greatness of Hashem's plan. But psychologically, that's not an easy thing to do. So look what Shlomo does with Yehuda. Okay, now listen to this, he says. Again, open your hearts very strong. Yehuda's la'achar gemar adin. It's over, that's it. It's not, he says, it's not, he says, the fact of what I've done is so preponderous, it's so overwhelming. I've actually done things and thought things that are totally not what my neshama would have wanted to think. And so I have to totally accept the consequences. That's called la'achar gemar adin, after the actual sentence has been given. I feel I've been judged. I feel I'm judging myself. And that judgment over myself sometimes, in terms of our own psychology, we're even harder on ourselves than Hashem is. So I want to deal with the fact that a lot of people are still doing the same things because they feel that they're losing hope that they could ever come back. How far can I reach? How much can I reach out and pull back somebody who's so far away that they've done things as a result of not believing that they have hope? They've done things that have closed themselves off from hope, right? And yet still, I can bring them back, I can give them hope. I can give them the sense that they're still worth something, that they're the most awesome human being in the world. And really a lot of this is autobiographical. So Achar Gemar Adin is a very powerful concept of I have already sentenced myself that I have no chance. It's over, that's it. I'm a slave now. In terms of this is placing it, this is the exact place that Shlomo is talking about in terms of Yehuda, is the end of Parshas Miketz and the beginning of Vayigash. Vayigash elav Yehuda. It's at this point when Yehuda has been told by Yosef, in this incredible statement that Yosef makes, oh, it's okay, you guys go home to your father, I'll take the thief. That's the worst and the last thing that they wanted to hear. That's Yosef at his best in terms of being an actor. What a masterful actor he has been. But for them, it's the worst. So Yehuda, in terms of the Midrash, he breaks through the door, the hairs on his chest are protruding, he has bloodshot eyes, and there's a number of things going on here at the same time in terms of the Midrash. He goes close up to Yehuda, he goes up to Yosef. It's the meeting of the two Mashiachs, and he says, you can't do this. In a sense, the speech he makes is pretty calm. It's long drawn out. He tells the whole story. He told us to come down. He told us to bring our brother. We did. You know what happened when we were with our father. He didn't want to let us go. I'm telling you what happened. Take me as a slave instead. But please, anything but this. I'll do anything for you. Don't take my brother Binyamin. Vayigash elav Yehuda. And basically, he didn't even ask him, I just want to tell you the story right. What's that mean? Mamish, basically, he didn't even ask him, I just want to tell you the story, right? Which I just said that he wanted to tell him the story. But what he was really getting at is that you can't do this to us. Mamish standing before God and not even pleading with God. You're not telling God stories and excuses. Just, God, I want you to know that you reached me the whole time, the deepest steps, right? Imagine you're learning all the time. Suddenly I stop learning and all I do is read the New York Times, Reader's Digest, or a comic book. But each time I'm reading those comic books, my inside is crying out, wow, why am I learning Gemara? Why am I not holding a holy Sefer? There's something wrong with me. I can't help it. Gewalt is the Torah reaching me. The context here is, maybe I'm not on the level to read this, but I was feeling that Yehuda is telling his story to Yosef, but the whole point is, I understand that this is the curtain. But I'm telling you, please, and I'm not just talking to you, Yosef, I'm talking to God. Please, no matter what, I know that I've been wrong. I know that I made a mistake. But please, give me a chance. Shlomo's going further. Shlomo's immediately bringing it into us. I need a little bit more for us to read the next paragraph, then I want to go back. Okay, now listen to one more thing. So what is Yehuda forcing God to reveal? Yehuda is forcing, so to speak, God to reveal that the Torah reached him the whole time in the deepest depths, the whole time. even when I wasn't doing what you wanted me to do, but somehow deep inside of me I wanted so much to be with you, God. You think while I was keeping Shabbos, Shabbos reached me? This is Shlomo at his best. It is Ishbit's best. While I was driving my car, I was crying for Shabbos. My Shabbos is not as deep as the crying while I was driving my car. So what's he saying here? There's a certain thing that happens to us when we keep the mitzvot. There's a certain thing that happens to us when we keep Shabbos. It's almost like we take it for granted. But the deep cry, the pathos of the person who's not keeping Shabbos is what Shlomo's feeling. And again, he's not, in my humble opinion, he's not justifying not keeping Shabbos. He's saying, how do I reach that person and also that part of myself that's not keeping Shabbos? That doesn't feel worthy. So I give it the benefit of the doubt that what it or he or I was doing when I wasn't keeping Shabbos, that part of me that's not letting God in, wants so much to be with God, more than the part of me that feels okay with God. This is Yehuda. In the very deepest, highest level, when Mashiach is coming, will be revealed to the world that every Yidela, while he was honking his horn, he was waiting for the blowing of the shofar of Mashiach. Who could say such a thing but Shlomo? When you hear a horn honking, is you hear the shofar of Mashiach. Fine. A lot of us can do that. But that you hear the horn honking on Shabbos. That's again where we have to go, non-conformist. When we see Hashem, you're running the world in such a deep way. Yeah, fine, I'm keeping Shabbos. I'm within the wagon, what's it called? The wagon, the circle of wagons.
Circling the wagon.
But I'm seeing that the way you run the world is much deeper. Shlomo many times said, if you see something on Shabbos that brings you down, it means you weren't keeping Shabbos. Everything is God, including the things that don't seem to be God. And again, we point outside, but there's something inside of us also. There's a whole reality inside of us that we're not, that's holding us back from believing that we're also capable of being Yehudas. He's mamash crying, Ribono Shalom, here I am honking my horn Friday night in my car. I wish Mashiach would come and grab me back to Shabbos. And again, the inference here is that I will be keeping a deeper Shabbos, not having kept Shabbos halakhically. Because of the deep cry that I was able to cry, the deep yearning that I was able to access, was beyond and beyond, above and beyond. It's because of that I can come into Shabbos with a different kind of Shabbos than somebody who's keeping Shabbos his whole life. That's the value and the advantage of the Baal Tshuva. What?
When you reference the same, it's just the relationship, the relative, whatever. Still the same point of reference.
So look, even the person who's keeping Shabbos all his life has to get to this level of the Yehudi inside of him. These archetypes are there for us not because once we become a certain external archetype, then I'm fine on the inside. In fact, in terms of the two Mashiachs, I have later here Shlomo talking in San Francisco on page 11. It's important that we do this now. The relationship between Yosef and Yehuda. And as I said before, if Yosef would have been with Potiphar's wife, then the whole Yosef story would have been basically a failure. He would not have been able to be called Yosef a tzaddik, and his mission would have been failed, because he would have been pulled down by Potiphar's wife. Yehuda goes with Tamar. Yosef does not go with Potiphar's wife. That's the relationship. One keeps the borders and the boundaries of Halachic Judaism, and the other one, even though he's completely trying to, and everything he does, but he's constantly falling and making a mistake and having to admit his mistakes. He's constantly in a self-cleansing mode. So that's what I want to share with you here, and then go back to one or two points that we missed along the way.